All right. So, in the last couple of weeks, I did a pre-assessment with you. Remember, and I asked you some questions.
Yeah.
Remember the pre-assessment we did, and some of the things that we did on that pre-assessment, we're going to be doing over the next few weeks. So we're going to do some more of those things like we did in the assessment. So we're going to be looking at B's and D's today. And so I want you to tell me B's and D's because you got those confused last time. And we're going to use this paper right here. And I'm going to use a marker. And I want you
It's
to look
moving.
right here. It is. All right, put your mask on so we don't get in trouble. Put your mask on, okay? All right, and I want you to look right here. I'm going to write a B, and then I'm going to write a D.
BD.
A B and a D.
BD.
A B and a D.
BD.
So if I write these words, all right, on this side, I'm going to write a few words. All right.
I'm reading this one.
All right, hang on a second. And then I'm going to write some over here. And I'm going to write some over here. And we're going to see if they make sense, okay? So the beginning sound. So B says what? What does B say?
B.
What does D say?
D.
D. All right, so sound these words out for me. Can you sound them out or do you need some help?
B.
All right.
Ag.
So it's D. D. Ag. Dag. Does dag make sense?
No.
Does that word make sense at all? What if we change
No.
the D to a B? Then what would it be?
Bag.
Bag. Good job. All right, what about this word? D.
It.
Duh. It. Dit. Does that make sense?
No.
No. So what if I add a B? What does it become?
Bit.
Bit. Good. Does that make sense?
I don't know.
Does that make sense? What does bit mean? Bit.
I don't know. Like bacon bits.
Like bacon bits? Or like a dog what? Like a dog bit someone?
Yeah.
Or a dog bit your finger when you handed him the treat? Okay. All right, let's see. Let's look at this one. Sound that one out.
It. Det.
Does that make
No.
sense? No, that doesn't make sense. So what if I change it to a B?
Bet.
Bet. So how can we use bet in a sentence?
Like if you bet it on someone.
Or like I bet you can't do it, and then you do it. Okay. All right, put your mask on so we don't get in trouble. Okay.
Nobody's
All right.
coming
Now let's
in
try.
here.
I know. I hope not. Let's try. Let's try over here now. All right. What is this? Sound that one out. So this is a what? Bot. Does bot make sense?
No.
No. So let's change it to a what? What are we going to change it to?
A D.
So we're changing these B's and D's. All right. Now let's try it out now.
Dot.
Now what is a dot?
A little dot.
Like a dot, like that. Yeah. Like dot. Okay, or dots. Okay, so when we change it to a D, it makes sense, right? But did bot make sense?
No,
no, it did not. All right,
like
look.
it was a bot, but like it was like, what if it was a robot?
Yeah, well, if we added R to the, R-O to the front, it would have been robot. But bot doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
Okay. All right, let's try this one. So that's a what? A B. Okay. B.
B.
So B. A says what? Ah. B. B. Bab. Bab. Does that make sense?
I know.
Bab does not make sense. What if I change it to a D?
Dad.
Dab. No, that's a B. Dab.
Dab.
Dab. So what's a dab?
It's like you, like dot is
just a dab of something. Or like if you rub some lotion, like if I give you some lotion, I give you just a dab. So a dab is just a little bit. Just a little bit. All right, so you see here, learning, listen, learning to distinguish the sounds, look at here, between B, look here, look this way. So you have to know the sounds of B and D because it's important and it will help you decode words that contain those letters. So if you didn't know, look here, Everly, look, pay attention, baby. If you didn't know to change, Everly, what are you doing, baby?
I'm shaking.
Don't do that. So if we left those D's and we left those B's in those places and they didn't sound right, could we use those words in
No.
sentences? No, they didn't make sense, did they? No. All right, good job. All right. Now I'm going to show you a book that we'll be reading, and we're going to discuss the characters and the setting and major events in the story. Have you ever seen this book or read this book before?
No.
You don't know what this book's about?
No.
All right, so this is, we want to focus on characters and setting and major events within the story because it aids in comprehension, meaning it helps you understand what's happening or what's going on, okay? All right,
Your eyes
so,
look scary.
do they really? Our objective for today, their eyes look scary? Or my eyes look scary?
Yours, because you're
Mine?
like staring at me.
Oh, really? Because my mask is on, right? You can't see my mouth. All right, so we have to understand details in the story and how to identify characters in the setting in the story because it helps us understand what is going on. All right, our objective today is to be able to identify characters and setting and major events in the story. The characters in this book are very different in the beginning. So, what do you see? The characters are going to be what? What are they in the book? Are they people?
No, they're animals.
They're animals?
They're a rat.
They're rats or mice. We could say mice.
Or they're
Yeah.
a mouse.
So in the beginning, these two are very different. One is very different from the other, but in the end, they're going to switch roles. They're going to switch places, and they're going to be a lot alike in the end. And the characters in this story are going to encounter a problem. What's a problem?
Like, you can't do anything about it.
And it needs to be solved. Yeah, so they need a solution. All right.
Who are they
All right.
out
So
there?
the reason I chose this
That's
book.
the Smith's
Hey, look.
class.
I'm going to have to shut these if you can't listen to me, okay? You got to listen to Miss Patience. Okay. All right. Listen close. All right. So the reason I chose this book is the title of the book is Sheila Ray the Brave. And I chose this book because you're in kindergarten and this book is on a kindergarten instructional level. All right. We're going to listen for some vocabulary words in the book too. So some of the words are synonyms, which means they sound different, but they have the same meaning, like brave and fearless. What does it mean if you're brave? If you're brave, what's that mean?
Like, you can do something even if it's scary.
You can do something even if it's scary, right? And you're not afraid to
Do
it.
it.
That's right. You're not afraid to do it. And so tell me, if you're not afraid to do it, that makes you fearless. In other words, you're not what?
Afraid of.
You're not afraid to
Do.
do it. That's right. So you're not afraid to do it. So, and some of the words, other two words that are in there is fear and afraid. So if you're afraid, that means you're
Scared.
or if you fear something, that means you're scared of it. All right. And then there's also going to be some words to be still in the chair. There's also some words in here: familiar, stray, bared, creature, and dashed. So we're going to be listening for those words in our story. Everly, please don't do that. Okay.
I'm shaking because I think I won't be able to play.
Well, baby, I don't know if we're going to have time. I'm going to try really hard to finish. I'm going to try really hard. Okay? So I'm going to start reading this book, and I need you to be a good listener, okay? The name of the story is Sheila Ray the Brave by Kevin Hinks. All right? Sheila Ray wasn't afraid of anything. So that means she was brave. Yeah, Sheila Ray. Who do you think Sheila Ray is? If she wasn't afraid of anything, she's kissing a what?
A spider.
A spider. She wasn't afraid of the dark. She wasn't afraid of thunder and lightning. And she wasn't afraid of the big black dog at the end of the block. Who does this mouse look afraid though?
Yes.
She looks afraid. But this one doesn't. At dinner, Sheila Ray made believe that the cherries in her fruit cocktail were the eyes of dead bears, and she ate 5 of them. So she pretended the cherries were what? The eyes of what? Bears. Would you eat bear eyes?
No.
No way, Jose. At school, Sheila Ray giggled when the principal walked by. And when her classmate Wendell stole her jump rope during recess, Sheila Ray tied him up until the bell rang. I am very brave, Sheila Ray said, patting herself on the back. Can you pat yourself on the back? Sheila Ray stepped on every crack in the sidewalk without fear. In other words, she wasn't afraid to step on the crack. When her sister Louise, oh, that's Louise. So that's her sister Louise in all those pictures. See all the pictures?
Yeah.
See Louise in all those pictures? Louise looks what?
Scared.
Louise looks like she's scared of everything. And Louise in the front, when Sheila Ray kisses that spider, Louise looks what?
Scared.
Scared or surprised. When her sister Louise said there was a monster in the closet, Sheila Ray attacked it. She attacked it. Are monsters real?
Yeah.
No, they're not. And she rode her bicycle no-handed with her eyes closed. Yeah, Sheila Ray, her friends yelled, clapping their hands. Can you ride your bike without hands?
No.
No. One day, Sheila Ray decided to walk home from school a new way. Louise was afraid to. You're too brave for me, Louise said. You're always such a scaredy cat, Sheila Ray called. Am not, whispered Louise. So Sheila Ray just called Louise what?
A scaredy
A scaredy cat. Was that a nice thing to do?
No, Sheila Ray is really mean.
Yeah, she's kind of mean.
Because
and that's her sister.
Because she thinks that she's always braver than anybody.
That's right. That's exactly right. Sheila Ray started off skipping. I am brave, she sang. I am fearless. And she stepped on every crack. And she walked backwards with her eyes closed. Something's going to happen. Our problem is coming up.
Okay.
Guess what's going to happen?
What?
She growled at stray dogs, and she bared her teeth. Bared is one of our words. So if she bares her teeth, that means she's showing what?
Her teeth.
Showing her teeth. And she pretended that the trees were evil creatures. She climbed up them and broke their fingers off. Snap, snap, snap. Oh my goodness. Sheila Ray is what?
Really brave.
Really brave. Sheila Ray walked and walked. She turned corners and she crossed streets. And then all of a sudden, Sheila Ray looks what?
Sad.
It suddenly occurred to Sheila Ray that nothing looked familiar. What does familiar mean?
It means that you've seen something that
You've seen it before. Or it looks like something you've seen before. So you have
looked
seen
at
it
something
and
it's been
you
a long
you recognize
day,
it, yeah.
And you think you've noticed.
Yeah, that you've seen it before. You've noticed it before. So Sheila Ray is what you think?
Scared.
Sheila Ray heard frightening noises, and they sounded worse than thunder. She looks worried, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She thought horrible thoughts. They were worse than anything she had ever imagined. I am brave, Sheila Ray tried to convince herself. I am fearless. But really, she was what? Scared. She's what? Do you know what's going on yet? In the story, what's going on? She is
really scared.
She's scared, but something's going on. She doesn't know where
she is.
She's gotten what? Lost. The sounds became more frightening, and the thoughts became more horrible. Sheila Ray sat down on a rock, and she cried. Help, she sniffed. She thought of her mother and her father and Louise. Mother, Father, Louise, she cried. So she's getting really what? She's crying. She's so scared. She's crying. So she's calling for her mother, father, and Louise. And look who comes out of the tree. Louise. Here I am, a voice said. Louise, Sheila Ray hugged her sister. We're lost, Sheila Ray said. No, we're not, said Louise. I know the way home. Follow me. So what did Louise say?
She said, I know the way home. Follow me.
That's right. So Louise is not what?
Scared.
It doesn't look like she's scared anymore. Louise stepped on every crack. She walked backwards with her eyes closed. Sheila Ray looks like she's what? She's still what?
Scared.
Crying. She's scared. She growled at stray dogs and bared her teeth at stray cats. Oh, look. She's baring her teeth. What does bared mean? She's showing her teeth. Yeah, don't touch your teeth. We get germs. We don't want germs. And she pretended that the trees were evil creatures. She jumped up and broke their fingers off. Snap, snap, snap. Sheila Ray walked quietly behind her. So Sheila Ray now is following who? Louise, her sister. But Louise, in the beginning of the book, was following who? Sheila Ray, yeah. They walked and walked. They crossed streets and they turned corners. Soon their house could be seen between the trees. Sheila Ray grabbed Louise and dashed up the street. Dashed is another one of the words. What does dashed mean if she dashed up the street? That means she what? Can you tell by looking at the
She
picture?
ran really fast.
She ran really fast up the street. When they reached their own yard and the gate closed behind them, Sheila Ray said, "Louise, you are brave. You are fearless." So Sheila Ray told Louise that she was what? That she was what?
Brave.
And earlier she told her she was a what?
Scaredy
A scaredy cat. Yeah, she told her she was a scaredy cat. And Louise said, "We both are." And they walked backwards into the house with their eyes closed. So they said they were both brave after that, right? Yeah. All right. So we read the story. And do you have any questions about the story since we read? All right. So there were words in the story that started with B and D and that ended with B and D. So let's look at a few words in the story that ended with B. Oh, brave starts with what?
B.
B.
We're not
You hear me,
videoing.
Mr. Mike? We're videoing. I'm videoing. You
We're
can
not
walk through those minutes.
videoing.
All right, afraid. What does afraid end with? Afraid. What does it end with? What sound? Afraid.
D.
Afraid. So that's the letter
D.
D. Good job. All right, there's afraid again. Oh, what about dark? Dark.
D.
Starts with what?
D.
D. Okay. What about big and black? Big, black. Starts with what?
B.
B. And what about dog? Starts with D.
D.
D. What about end? What does it end? What's the sound it ends with? End. Good. And what about block? B. Block. It begins with B. What letter?
B.
What
B,
letter?
B, B,
B.
B.
Good. All right. What about the ending sound we hear in made? Made.
D.
D. Good. What about dead? What sound do we hear at the beginning and the end of dead? Dead. We hear what?
D.
Duh at the beginning and the what?
Glass.
And the last sound. Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Now, there's a B and a D anchor chart that I want you to look at that's going to help you figure out B and D. So look right here. So we see B, uppercase B and lowercase b like to walk. So they're walking. See, they're always facing this way. Big D and little d, uppercase and lowercase d, like to talk. So they're facing each other all the time. See? Can you see the difference? So big B and little b like to walk. So lowercase b looks like a big B, except it just has a what? A bottom and not a
Belly.
top. It just has a belly. And uppercase D and lowercase d,
Like,
do they look the same?
no, because like this D is the uppercase D is going this
It's
way.
going this way, and then lowercase d goes
This way.
the opposite way. That's right. All right, now I have,
A surprise.
let's see. No, not yet. All right, have a seat for me. All right,
Uh-oh.
now we are almost there.
Done.
Let's see, let me